Judge in Utah's 3rd District Court has ruled in favor of voters suing the state, accusing Utah of gerrymandering.
In her ruling, the judge adopted the voters' maps for Utah's congressional districts. News specialist Brian Carlson explains what this means.
When you look at this ruling here from the 3rd District Court, there's a lot to unpack, 89 pages altogether. But there are two main takeaways. The court ruled that Utah's efforts to redraw the state's political maps unfairly favored Republicans. And the new map going forward will put most of Salt Lake County now under one congressional district. And that's what voters who were suing Utah were pushing for.
A win in the lengthy legal battle over Utah's political maps.
Today, finally, is a day to celebrate that the voice of the people has finally been heard and vindicated.
Today, the people of Utah are getting what we voted for 7 years ago, a fair map.
The League of Women Voters of Utah and Mormon Women for Ethical Government and others claiming that victory from Judge Deanna Gibson's ruling overnight, siding with voters, suing Utah legislators for redrawing state maps. According to the ruling, this map submitted by those voters will now determine who Utahns elect to Congress. In the lawsuit, it's called Map 1. Each of Utah's 4 congressional districts are represented in different colors. The main thing to note is D1 in orange, the boundary for Utah's 1st congressional district. It now includes most of Salt Lake County and part of Utah County. That's important because Salt Lake County leans more Democratic than the rest of the state. Now, you compare that to this map called Map C, approved last month by the state legislature, which splits more of Salt Lake County in between districts 2 and 3. Judge Gibson ruled Map C unfairly favors Republicans and adopted Map 1 instead for Utah's elections beginning in 2026.
I'm here to thank the voters of Utah. It was you who made this happen.
While voters suing Utah celebrate, Utah's Republican leadership are signaling the fight isn't over. State GOP Party Chair Robert Axson posted on social media saying this, in part, Utahns deserve maps drawn by those they elect, not judges or activist plaintiffs who never face the voters. We will boldly, lawfully, and relentlessly work to restore constitutional government and protect Utahns' right to self-govern. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, who oversees elections in Utah, is vowing to implement the new map, saying on social media, there will likely be an emergency appeal. But the process of finalizing new boundary details will take weeks of meticulous work on the part of the state and county officials. Barring an appellate court ruling, we must begin without delay to ensure that everything is in place for candidate filing in January. The people of Utah deserve an orderly and fair election, and we will do everything in our power to administer one.
Now, the court also ruled in favor of voters who argued against Utah on the process that they adopted just last month to redraw those maps. This backs up the 2018 law that voters approved called Prop 4 that calls for maps to be fair and not favor any political party. Here downtown, Brian Carlson, KSL 5 News.
All right, Brian, thank you. And Governor Cox says he fully supports the state legislature appealing the ruling, saying in part the state constitution says it is the responsibility of the legislature to divide the state into congressional districts. He says, while I respect the court's role in our system, no judge and certainly no advocacy group can usurp that constitutional authority. Following the court ruling on the maps, Utah House Representative Matt McPherson says he has, quote, opened a bill to file articles of impeachment against Judge Gibson for gross abuse of power, violating the separation of powers and failing to uphold her oath to the Utah office constitution. This comes after Utah legislative leaders previously threatened to impeach Judge Gibson if their map did not get passed.
And the Utah State Bar is condemning efforts to impeach Judge Deanna Gibson, saying in part here, using impeachment as retaliation for an unfavorable decision undermines the rule of law and the separation of powers that safeguard our system of government. The judiciary must remain free from political pressure so all Utahns can have confidence in fair, impartial courts. Impeachment is reserved for serious misconduct, and disagreement should instead be addressed through the appeals process. On the other side here, Utah Senate and House Democrats have issued a joint statement saying that the judge's ruling has given them a deep sense of hope and relief, calling the new map a win for every Utahn. We, of course, will continue to follow any new developments after the ruling. Make sure to stay with us on air and online at KSLTV.com for the latest updates.